In hazy sun she stood unsure, a pretty filly tied to the gate, bound with a note that sorrow made. A lovely girl with a gleaming coat, with hooves as swift as shooting stars. You dazzle those who heard your name, Senorita Rita, our filly at the gate. We grew to love you instantly, though sometimes loving you was hard. We'd raise our eyes and sigh again, and wonder what you'd do and when. Senorita Rita, wild and bright, she breaks the rules and can pick a fight. She makes us laugh and test our grace, yet everyone loves our Rita, our filly at the gate. Bold and sassy, proud and fearless, she showed us all just who she was. She has a complicated heart, they say. Senorita Rita, our filly at the gate. We'll never tame your lightning heart, never train your spirit away. We love you just the way you are, Senorita Rita, our filly at the gate. Never change, spicy Rita, but keep your ears pretty, Rita, our pretty filly at the gate.
I love that girl. Good morning and hi to hello. And if I look as old and tired as I think I do, it's because I'm old and tired. Good morning. And thank you guys for jumping on, joining me this morning. I got the girls all around my feet. They've also come out to join me. It's a nice, cool morning here. And I don't know the exact temperature. Well, I know it's less than 60, and that's nice and cool for us here in Texas, even though I know that you guys are a lot colder where you're at. I wasn't going to go live this morning because we've had a little bit of an incident, and I did not want you all to worry. I know you have a lot of questions, so I just thought I would go ahead and just as a courtesy to you all, for especially for those who do worry, go ahead and go ahead and just continue with my Cowboy Church, is what I like to call it. Just a chance for us all to gather up on a Sunday morning and fellowship with each other. And in saying so, I decided to go ahead and allow the chat as well. So I just ask you to be polite and respectful of each other, please. And by all means, I understand that there's some frustrations and there's lots of anxiety. Jamie, I will say, is probably in a lot worse situation than I am as far as what she um, is working with and working through. She spent most of the night out in the stables, but I will let you know that once, well, I don't know exactly how you're going to receive anything of what I'm going to tell you. Now, guys, you're not going to be able to demand your questions get answered. I promise you, I'll get to them, but you're going to have to allow me time. So, um, I'm going to go ahead and just talk first about what happened because there may be someone who's jumping on this morning who was not around last night. I just hit my funny bone on my knee. Golly gee, wizard. Oh, whoa. Sorry. I just pushed my chair in and the leg of the golly gee, boy. I just tried to scoot my chair in and my knee hit right up against the leg of this table and hit me in the funny bone. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and let you all know first of all what happened because there may be some folks who don't know what's going on. They weren't able or they were busy last night and they didn't catch the live. But I'll just go ahead and say that it all started yesterday morning, Saturday morning. We have talked about wanting to have an additional structure built there in the back pasture to give the cows more shelter with winter coming on, with us having, so many calves and us having some longhorn that are kind of hard-headed and don't like to share space. We wanted to do something to allow them more space to get out of the elements. And so what we did was hired Randall, that's our good friend Randall, to come by and do a construction project. You guys know that Randall is the fella who's done all of our fencing here at this property. All that you see behind me, the barbed wire, the post, and the runners. Randall's done all of our fencing, and he's really good with construction type projects. And so we asked Randall to come by and do this project. He drove out and he gave me a bid several weeks back, and we were able to agree on a price. And so Randall was going to start work yesterday morning early. So we knew that Chuck was going to be a little bit of an issue. So we took and we moved Chuck inside the lot. Now, I'm not able to show you pictures of all of these places, but most of you guys who are familiar with the channel know that we have a lot. It's an old, we call it a lot. You can call it a corral if you choose to. It was a structure that was built by the former owners of the property. And in that lot, we have a squeeze chute that we can use to medicate our animals and give them their vaccinations and inoculations. And then we're also able to have a loading chute all in that same lot. And then many of you guys know that when we brought little Gary up, we built him a shelter inside the lot. And so I knew that by moving Chuck for a day or two into that lot would be a good place for him. There's shelter, there's water, I can throw over hay or feed, and all would be fine. The only problem with the lot is that Chuck did not want to be there. And friends, yes, I did call it the Chuck stop for a while because when we first brought Chuck here, we had to quarantine him for a while. And so we also nicknamed it the Chuck stop. And that's where Chuck actually lived for a couple of weeks when he first got here last year. All right. It's where we took the calves to brand them. Now you know where I'm talking about. Thank you so very much. Except it's not branding. We call it tattooing because everyone loves tattoos, okay? People don't like brands, but we love tattoos, okay? Thank you, Miss Jamie. Guys, listen. If you knew how important the first part of her statement over here, in all caps, she says, please be patient, everyone. If we just stopped it right there. And then she goes on to say, thank you for giving us an update and taking the time. So you're very kind, Jamie, Miss Jamie. But yeah, patience is key, guys. Patience, because it takes time to tell stories. And remember, many of us are on different timetables. Some folks know exactly what happened, where it happened, when it happened, and now you want the most recent and up-to-date details. But I'm going to start from the beginning, and that's the way that I'm going to do it. Okay, so we moved Chuck into the lot, and we thought that all would be fine. He had food, he had water, everything was going fine, except for the fact that Chuck, who I can bet you is getting close to, guys, I bet you he's 17, 1,800 pounds, almost a ton. He did not want to be in the lot. He wanted to be out and about. And so he got to pushing around on those gates the way cows will do, and he's able to end up popping the latch. And out into the pasture he comes where the guys are working. Chuck is a steer, not a bull. Guys, if we're going to sit here and begin to correct everybody over the most ridiculous things, okay? So Chuck did not want to stay inside of the lot. And so we tried to move him back. Our next attempt was to push him back through the lot into the pasture that we had built recently. You guys know that we built a cross fence pasture, a place that I could put my calves when I needed to work them, a place we could ride the horses to give us some space from the other horses to ride, a place we could use for, it's kind of an all-purpose area that we wanted to build. And so we did. We had Randall come out a month or so back, and he helped build us a little 1-acre pasture that connects to the lot and to our Gladiator Coliseum. Now, we were able to get Chuck moving in that direction, but unfortunately, Chuck was playing hardball and did not really want to move. And the fellows who was trying to get around behind him and guide him in, the guy who went to open the gate, Chuck got a little bit aggressive and just gave the guy a toss. He gave him a toss over the fence. I am blessed, we are blessed that that fella is going to be fine. It was scary, and it was very scary for that young man, but he is fine. So I want to say thank you, Lord, for that. And that right there in itself is a huge blessing, because had that guy not been able to have been tossed over that fence and ended up getting pushed or crushed into that fence, it could have been deadly. Okay. The thumbnail that I used for today's Cowboy Church live is actually I just froze a picture, a screenshot of him being tossed over that fence. It did rip his pants up, but he was not punctured or gored. We're just very, very thankful that that young man is fine. That young man is back today, and he's over on a ladder working today. So if that tells you anything, it tells you that that young man's fine. Yes. So we're very, very blessed for that. So if we could all just count our blessings that no one, as far as humans, were seriously hurt. But that kind of leads us into what happened next. All right. I don't think that Chuck wanted to be separated away from the cows who he's been hanging out with for the last couple of weeks. And that means I have to pause my story again to remind you why we moved Chuck to the pasture in the first place. About 2 weeks ago, I was making a video, and we saw Waylon up in the front, who was being very mean to Chuck. As a matter of fact, Waylon took, and we all watched it, Waylon took and he rammed Chuck, rammed him into our fencing, about broke the fencing down. And it ended up giving Chuck quite the limp, where Chuck hobbled around for a couple of days. Thank you, Miss Jody. See, there are folks who know about things, and I appreciate that. It makes it easier when you're able to keep up. But I guess it's my own fault for maybe posting so much that it's hard to keep up with everything. I get it. Well, you know what you could do? Just stop watching everybody else and just watch me. That's all you have to do is just stop watching every other channel and just watch me only. I'm playing with you, okay? I'm playing. Let me play, okay? But many people understand why I went that particular day and I moved Chuck. I took him out of the pasture with Waylon and I moved him out back. And we said, okay, from now on, we're just going to call him Uncle Chuck. And what I said was, I will just have to keep my head on a swivel. I'm the only guy who goes into that pasture most days. And I usually go on the side by side. And then when I do walk out for some reason to feed Caroline or whatever, I'll just make sure that I keep my head on a swivel and I keep an eye out for Chuck, knowing that he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He just is a big galoot who plays really, really rough. I kind of sometimes jokingly refer to him as like the guy from Of Mice and Men, Lenny. I think the guy's name was Lenny of Mice and Men. It may not be the wrong name, but you know, the big guy. So what happened was we finally got Chuck out of the back pasture and moved to the little 1 acre side pasture here. We moved the horses up front so the horses were out of the way. And at that point, Chuck had the Coliseum, which is the place the horses like to hang out, where they have their water trough and their rolls of hay. They also have their protein lick and their mineral blocks and their salt blocks. And this is that spot right here to the side over here. The horses were up in the front where they have their stables, and they also have the entire 15-acre pasture. And then the fellas were out back working, and we thought that all was going to be fine. Chuck was pacing the fence lines, but there was no way he could get back into that lot. He's not going to break through 3 different gates to get back out with them ladies, because there are in fact 3 gates he would have had to have gone through. Okay, we're getting there, guys. I promise we're getting there. I'm not trying to take the long way, but we are slowly getting to what happened. Okay, so Jamie and I left for the day. We wanted to do a little bit of running. We wanted to go and do some things. We never in 100 years would have ever left here if we thought that what was going to happen happened. But later on during the day, at some point, the horses began to get a little bit antsy, and the horses wanted into their pasture. And so this is now more about a territorial type thing. The horses wanted back into their spot. They had water in the stable, so it's not like they were thirsting or dying of thirst. They just wanted back in their spots. And if you guys know much about horses, you know they can be, well, you know the expression, they can be a little bit horsey. And they did, in fact, at some point push through the gate. Now, I'm going to have to show you something real fast. I'm going to ask you to be patient and let me show you something. Just watch.
She makes us laugh.
Watch right here. Okay, did everyone see that? I played this for a reason, because Rita has a special and unique ability that I hate. Watch. Okay, did you all see that? I'm going to play it one last time. I love her. Okay. So did everyone see what Rita did right there? Rita has learned that no matter how strong the latch, she's stronger. And Rita, I'm certain of it, even though I was not here to see it, and I have not pulled up the cameras. Rita, I'm certain of it, opened the gate. And Rita does that by just running and jumping and letting that gate hit her right across the chest, and she will pop open any gate. And that's why you notice that I not only have latches, but I've also begun to put a chain as a secondary So we love Rita, but I'm certain that Rita says, you know what? If y'all want in that pasture, get out of my way and let me show you how I do it. And so Rita ended up opening the gate and letting all the horses into the same pasture as Chuck. Now, at this point, Chuck is already in a bad mood. Chuck was underneath the Coliseum where the horses wanted to go. And at that point, it started quite the knockdown drag out. So Randall, who noticed all of the commotion, was able to take the spanky stick and go and was able to, you might just say, had to swat Chuck away and move the horses back out. And he was able, and we're blessed that Randall was able to do that, because we ended up having some injuries. But I promise you, it could have been a whole lot worse. Roman was being quite the protector. And so Roman was not trying to get up in the mix, but Roman was doing what he has to do to protect his herd. And there was a knockdown, drag out battle between both Roman and Chuck. And in all of that, Roman got punctured by one of Chuck's horns. I'm going to hope that Jamie at some point can walk out and tell you more about the actual injuries and how everything happened. She has a really good understanding of. She said she had to. She was on the phones with the vets way late into the night, and even though we could not have anyone drive out, we have a really good idea of what's what with both of the horses. Now, not to worry, the vets will be coming out today, and we have an appointment where they're going to gather up and be here today at 3:00. So we will find out a whole lot more. Okay, so anywho's, when all is said and done, once Jamie and I got back and were able to kind of make tales of what was happening, Randall was right. Now, Randall did not know about the injuries. Randall did not see the injuries happen. Randall only knew that the horses and Chuck were having it out with each other. So when we got back and got everything figured out, we did notice immediately, and I was actually on a live video when I noticed it. And some of y'all who watched that first live saw that I saw the blood. And so that's when we first noticed that there was actually injuries. Once we got the horses into their stalls and everything was sorted, we discovered that both Roman and Storm had been gored. I think is the proper word. Gored is when a cow or a bull sticks his horn through you, or a steer sticks a horn into you. It's a puncture wound. And so both Roman and Stormy had both been punctured by Chuck's horns. All of the other horses, including the Ivy pony, the donkey, are fine. We gave each and every horse a very thorough look over. And for the folks who saw blood on Ivy, know that the blood on Ivy was from her bobo. Ivy has a cyst on her ankle that will sometimes break and pop and sometimes bleed, and it's been there forever. I want to cut it off, but everyone says it's fine, leave it alone. But anyway, so, and if there's any blood on anybody else, it's because that blood came from Roman, not so much Stormy. Even though Stormy did bleed, she did not bleed near as much as what Roman did. I don't know if y'all can see that the noise that you hear are the dogs. They're running circles around me. Okay. All right. So, it was easy to treat Stormy. Stormy's a wonderful horse, and we were able to get her the right amount of antibiotics for her size and weight. And we also got her the right amount of pain medications based on her size and weight and vet's directives. And all of these things happened while on the phone with the vets. It was both Dr. Cochran and Dr. Shanks who were communicating with us and talking us through everything. And so we also did not have much bleeding from Stormy. So I will just say that now I'm no pro, I'm no expert, and I'm not a horse person. But I will say that I really think that Storm's going to be fine. Hey, sweetie. Hey, girls. All right, Daddy's making a video, okay? I'm doing a little video, but everyone loves y'all so much, okay? So I really do feel, and I think that Jamie would agree that Storm is going to be fine. If there may be some muscle issues, but I think that she'll heal up just fine. And if you, yeah, so we think that Storm's going to be fine. Now, Roman, oh, and one more thing. Stormy got stuck or gored in the back leg. And so you guys know that horses don't put near as much weight on their back legs as they do on their front. As a matter of fact, you can all go and Google it for yourself. But about 70% of the horse's weight they carry on their front legs. And so the fact that she was stuck in the back legs made it to where she didn't have to put near as much weight on her legs. Okay, so let's just go ahead and say thank you, Lord, that something horrible happened, but we do feel like Stormy is going to be fine. Okay, and we will know more about that come 3 o'clock today when the vets get here. All right, so Roman took it the worst. Roman took the brunt of everything. And being that he is the high horse and our herd leader, that was probably expected that he put himself in harm's way to protect the herd. And so Roman did take a pretty good puncture wound to his front end. And instead of lancing off to the side the way it did with Storm, Roman took more of a direct and deep puncture. And so that is why we think it bled so profusely. Roman, we had a really hard time stopping the bleeding from Roman. I will say that for the most part, we were finally able to get it to stop bleeding. It was a powder that we applied that we had to pack pretty thick. There's quite a bit of draining, but as far as him sitting there bleeding, Roman is not bleeding out. You don't have to worry about him. He's not bleeding out. He's lost quite a bit of blood. And you guys who saw the snippets of the video yesterday, you saw what I'm talking about. But Roman is not bleeding out. Now, we did decide and we were advised to read Roman's demeanor and go with what Roman wanted to do. So once we let the other horses back out of the stalls and they begin to move back out into the pastures, Roman began to get a little anxious. He wanted to be with the herd. And so we were told that it would be fine to let him out because he does not need to stand there in that stall all night pacing. Even though we do have the inch-thick rubber mats on the stall floors, the vets agreed that he would probably be a lot more comfortable standing in the grass. And so they says, let him out. Don't make him stay in there if he doesn't want to stay in there. And I'll tell you right now that I told Jamie just leave Roman in the stall all night. And then, but we were told by the vets. And so if you want to be upset about that we let Roman back out, then go ahead. I don't care. You can be mad if you want to, but I'm not going to concern myself with the mad. But so Roman did go ahead and walk out. I moved hay into the pasture close to the stables where the horses could gather and hopefully be content. We also took Chuck and I closed him into the Coliseum. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, those who are giving the vets the credit, not just random experts on the internet. And so we listen to the vets. We don't listen to the internet experts. But we also closed Chucky Poo into the Coliseum, where that's where he's at right now. I went ahead and emptied out and refilled the water trough. So he has 100 gallons of water, and I'll keep that filled. There's also a roll of dry hay. I gave him green alfalfa both last night and this morning. I even took him 6 or 7 delicious muffins, and just trying to keep Chuck calm down and keep him relaxed. I want you to know that what happened was mostly, I'm just going to say, a territorial kind of a thing. And so that's very similar to how animals and humans are when it comes to space and personal space and territorial. All right. So we're not blaming Chuck for being this horrible, evil monster. He's an animal and he acts on instincts, and most animals do act on instincts. He's not like a killer shark or a killer whale who just wants the taste of blood. You have to stop with that mindset. Chuck is not looking for the taste of blood, guys. He's not a shark. Okay. He's a steer who is certainly finding himself attached to taking care of his own herd. All of the young ladies and all of those babies out in that pasture where Chuck has been the last couple of weeks has certainly made him feel like that's his herd to protect. And so you always have to remember that when things like this happen, it's not the fault of the animal. It's the fault of the humans who are trying to control the animals. And so if you want to blame faulty gates, shabby fencing, let's just all blame Randall. We'll just all blame Randall. Can we all just blame Randall? Can we all just blame Randall, please? I'm laughing and I'm playing, and I know that those of you who know me know that I'm playing. Poor Randall. Oh, here comes Jamie. Hey, babe. You want to come sit down for a minute? That's okay. Jamie, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Jamie's been up all night, guys. This good girl right here has not had much sleep at all, if any. And then what kind of sleep she tried to get was not a pretty sleep. Oh, boy.
I told you.
You look lovely.
I told you. I'm
Here,
happy that there's like
let me help you.
That's probably best.
Let me help you.
That's probably.
There you go. Yeah,
that's not going to help at all.
You got.
First of all, they're dirty. Second of all, like this is the blur. I can't. It's so blurry. No.
Okay.
It's so blurry.
Okay. You want my hoodie?
No, I'm okay.
All right. So let me go ahead and I'm going to take this and wipe off the lens, guys. Give me one second.
You don't have to clear it up. But I have no makeup, no.
Okay. So I'm just going to say one last thing as I hold your hand.
Don't make me cry.
No. Guys, just know that every time we have a situation with an animal, be it a Carl or be it a Chuck or a Pig Trudy or any animal, it always creates a little bit of a situation that Jamie and I resolve. And because we're partners, We will resolve it. We'll figure it out. Okay. We don't need advice on any of that. We know there's a situation that we have to work on, and we will figure it out. And most times I'm wrong and she's right. Okay, fine. Always. I'm always wrong and she's always right. And I will figure it out. I'm going to let you talk for a bit if you can.
It's best like I have struggled to talk. I've struggled to make any videos. I'm struggling to come on here now because I'm mad.
Okay.
I'm so mad. And
Could I interview you in a way then? Would that make it any easier? Or would you just want to find your own words? I was just going to ask you, could you describe the differences between what Roman's wound looks like compared to Storm's wound? And I'll just scratch your back here. I'll just rub her back.
So based on what I can tell, Storm has a gore, a puncture wound where the horn probably went all the way in. So it's about this big around and it's about this deep. But hers looks like it was just the horn in and out, that she wasn't hit in other ways. And hers went directly like between two muscles, potentially. Like it kind of went sideways in her instead of direct. It didn't hit a bone that we can see. This is speculation.
I use the word lanced. Do you know that word lanced? Like something lances off of something else. I think it kind of lanced at an angle. Not, I may be wrong. Go ahead.
Not real. So lance would be like a slice.
Oh, okay. Well, I was wrong. Then my word choice was wrong.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, so she has a direct puncture and it's deep and it's open, and her situation will be her risk of infection and the importance of keeping that packed and the ability for it to drain. She's sore, she's limping, and but overall her demeanor is good, and I was able to start her on antibiotics last night and give her a pain shot and some anti-inflammatories and clean her wound out very well. But that's because Storm is incredibly handleable. That's a word. Yeah. And that she is, it also was her back leg. So it's different in that space. Roman's injury is actually worse, but it doesn't look worse. Like to the physical appearance, his hole is not as big. However, the way that Roman took that, it probably went straight in and ripped on the way down because of Roman pulling back or Chuck going down. And the rip is what caused his muscle is torn and what caused the bleed. We also can't tell how far in it went because Roman will not allow me in the wound, will not allow me, like, the saddest part of this all is that
there's humor in this. Do you get the humor in this?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you. You don't have to send money, guys. We're not asking you for money. That's very kind. But that's not why I stuck this up there. You get why I stuck this up there?
Yeah.
I submitted my complaints to Daniel Arms. Most times when I do something to get in trouble, I wear my Arms family shirt and hat. And I always tell everybody, hey, folks, I'm Daniel at Arms Family Homestead. Mm-hmm. And I jokingly get people to submit their complaints to Daniel, not to come at me, Lester. BK Jr., that's hilarious. Thank you. And for your contribution to our vet costs. But I'm laughing at your comment. Thank you. That put a smile on my face.
So in addition to his tear, I think he got hit pretty hard. And I also think that his back leg has an injury to it in addition to his front leg. And I wasn't here to see. The cameras don't reach as far out to be able to see those details. It's the trailers there. There's just things that I can't see. But Roman's in bad shape, really bad shape. I was able to get his bleeding to stop, but I can't get in there to be able to rinse it the way that I want to, and care for Roman is going to be tough. And I'm glad our vets are coming because they're going to have to sedate him. Last night, whenever I tried to do anything, he was so agitated that even like trying to put Vaseline where the wound was draining to be able to prevent the burn, because that happens. he wouldn't even let me near him with the Vaseline.
It's like Roman's backtracked, and that's kind of maybe a PTSD thing where he'd gone and he'd grown so much with his learning to trust, letting us do so much. I mean, we even put a saddle on his back just to show everybody how much he's learning to trust now. And then I feel like this incident yesterday really spooked him, and maybe, like you said, did set him back a ways.
Yeah, he's in bad shape. Storm, as I mentioned, she's at risk of infection, and still she has a significant wound and significant injury. I gave the horses all a once over last night, but this morning as I'm like sitting here, I'm like, I need to physically put my hands underneath belt. Like I feel like my head was not clear enough to give it truly the in-depth inspection of everyone. So I want to go back out there and do that.
Maybe you have to read that comment. I laugh about the liquor part.
Yeah.
Not wine. We're not doing wine, okay? But we'll find some liquor when this is all over. Let's get this out of the way first, and then we'll find some liquor, not wine.
But thank God Dr. Cochran and Dr. Shanks answered their phones immediately yesterday. And I just said, other than XYZ, what can I do right now? And do I need to haul them in? And knowing good and well that there was very little chance that I was going to be able, we're going to be able to haul Roman in. And for people that say you need to stitch that up. So the reason that you don't stitch up wounds like this is because the fluid will build up inside and you'll create an abscess. And that abscess, the fluid inside, will create an infection that will literally eat away at their muscle, and then their bones, and then their blood, and they'll get an infection that causes them to die. So you have to leave it open, similar to the voodoo situation. And I can't believe, this is horrible. I can't believe that voodoo's injury taught us enough to know of what to do last night. But it did.
And what's crazy, adding to what you just said, is that some of the supplies that we had on hand were the same things that we were using to treat voodoo and his puncture. And
we had the right meds here for every horse except for Roman. And I say that because Roman would not let me give him an injection. So I had to go back to the house and find pills, because I have to sneak them in muffins to him, of which you only get one shot. If you've ever given horses meds that they have to do by mouth, especially horses that don't let you touch them, you get one shot to get them in there, and you got to get it all in one thing for them to chew, because they're going to spit it out and never not trust that food again. So we were able to get pain meds in Roman last night, but not antibiotics. And that is where today is so critical.
I love this comment right over here. Voodoo is still helping his herd. That's beautiful, Lori. Thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you for walking out and sharing a little bit. I told Jamie I was going to go ahead and do my Cowboy Church because I think that there were people who wanted and just needed to know as much as they possibly could. And I'd rather you hear it from us than from each other. I know that folks go live today and people here begin to chat back and forth on other live streams and other videos.
Did you tell them that Roman's out of the stall? I know a lot of people were wanting him to remain in the stall, but the thing is that if Roman decided to lay down in his stall, there's very little chance that we would be able to have the efforts to be able to get him up, depending upon how he laid down. There is room to lay down, but when you have an injured horse that needs way more space or different ways to get up, not to mention his stress level. As soon as the herd went out, he told us that he needed to go out.
I also talked about, I think that even though we have an inch thick rubber mat, I still think that on the grass would be better for his weight.
Yeah. And for him to be able to move around. So moving right now is really critical for both he and Storm, because if they stand still and start to lock up, or because horses' legs will swell when they stand in one spot too long, they need that circulation. The circulation will help both of them heal, and that's critical to their healing process. Anyway, sorry for crying on your live.
No. I admire your courage for coming out and putting yourself in front of folks. But
I have really one weird question.
you have a weird question. Oh boy.
Why are your underwear on the table?
Why are my underwear on the table? So you don't know that I went into the hot tub one morning when it was 40 degrees.
Oh, I didn't know.
And when I came out of that hot tub, I had to strip down before I could go inside the house. So my underwear are here on the table.
Well, they were just here to dry then. That's about where I sign out, y'all.
I love you though. But by all means, you can take them and wash them if you want to. Thank you, babe. You have to admire Jamie for being so strong. And it takes strong women to put up with hard-headed men, right? And many of you women know that. Many of you women already know that. So thank you guys for letting us come on this morning and just kind of talk about what's going on with everything. And so there's going to be a vet visit this afternoon at 3:00. And I have already asked Mom and Dad if they would drive Lex back to his mom's. And I've not heard back from them yet, but I know that they will. And that way it will allow me to be here whenever the vets come, because they're more than likely going to need me to help with Roman. And so I'll just go ahead and add a couple of things. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to ask about where do you go from here. So first things first, some things that you have to understand is that cows, just like horses, are herd animals, and they need to be with a herd. They need to be with others of their own kind, if at all possible. Otherwise, that animal's going to, if it's by itself somewhere. So you really cannot, you really cannot say that Chuck needs to be off in some faraway pasture by himself, because that's just not the life that everyone knows how we struggle and suffer when we're isolated from others. And so he has to have social interaction. He needs to be with those of his own kind. So as it's not as easy as what a lot of people think it is. Just trust me, I've read the emails of, you got 50 acres. Don't tell me you can't acre off a pasture for him and build him a shelter and all of the things. That's not quite the way it works. So we will have to do some thinking, and we'll try to figure it all out. I will also say that I have talked to both Justin and Jeff, and I'm trying to make sure that we all three stay in the loop of what we do and how we go about and how we proceed from here. So it's not just going to be one person's going to take it and go with it. We're going to try to figure it out. And then I'm just going to remind, this is something that's kind of important. A lot of people keep talking about the dehorning and having the horns cut off. But you have to remember that you're still looking at a almost 2,000-pound animal. And if that cow doesn't run a horn through you, just his weight alone could crush every bone in your body. So guys, just don't forget that there's some things that are just not feasible. And so it might make it where you wouldn't get gored, but it's not to say that you still couldn't have every bone in your body crushed. Okay. So, and then at this point in his life, having an animal at that age being dehorned is similar to having an amputation. So he'd have to readjust. Everything that he does have to be readjusted. That's why you don't go by and cut the horns off of a grown animal. Now, do old school ranchers do it all the time? Yeah, because they're not an animal sanctuary and they're not held to the highest of standards like an animal sanctuary is held to. So, in saying so, we're going to absolutely look for the best solution that's going to be the right thing for Chuck and the right thing for the horses and the right thing for the humans. All righty. And we're going to try to figure this out, but it's going to take some time and it's going to take cool heads, or I forgot the expression, but cooler heads will prevail. All of those who are jumping and saying the most rash and brash and just not very well thought out things. I'm not mocking you. I'm not trying to shun you or make you feel lesser of an important comment, but you have to really think things like this through. And we've done it for a bit, and we've made plenty of mistakes. And we've also done a lot of things that are right. So, all right. Well, with that being said, I understand there's going to be, with as many people who watch the video, will be just as many differing opinions on everything. And you are absolutely entitled to your opinions. We are not in the habit of banning you because we don't agree with you. That's not the way the world works. You are more than welcome to disagree. Absolutely, you can disagree with whatever decision. We just ask that you find a human, a social, a respectful way to show and to share your disagreements. All righty. But by all means, thank you for watching and being a part of our morning. And I'm hoping that I was able to answer any of your questions. And I promise you that when the vets come today, there'll be a whole lot more information that we'll be able to share once we get Roman treated the right way and getting him not tranquilized, but him sedated. And we'll know a whole lot more once the vets can have a chance to actually get in there and look and give him all that he needs. So, all righty. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for those who are trying to help out with our financial situation with the vet cost. We mostly just are thankful for those who watch the videos and love and support us with your loyalty, because that loyalty cannot be bought. And we appreciate that more than what you could imagine. And it's always in times like this, when you've been knocked down a notch or two, when you find out real fast who are your friends and who are not, who have always been and who really never were. And so thank you for those who have remained and will remain loyal to us and to the channel, even despite our many flaws and shortcomings. Okay. Well, we love you and we're blessed to have you. Thank you so very much for watching. And thank you especially for those who have taken the time to say a prayer for not just Roman and Storm, but also Chucky Poo and the fellow who took a trip over the fence, over the gate, and for Jamie. All right. Okay. I will end this video the same place we started it, talking about the filly at the
An autumn morning there she was. In hazy sun she stood unsure, a pretty filly tied to the gate, bound with a note that sorrow made. A lovely girl with a gleaming coat, with hooves as swift as shooting stars. You dazzle those who heard your name, Senorita Rita, our filly at the gate. We grew to love you instantly, though sometimes loving you was hard. We'd raise our eyes and sigh again bold and sassy, proud and fearless. She showed us all just who she was. She has a complicated heart, they say. Senorita Rita, our filly at the gate. We'll never tame your lightning heart, never train your spirit away. We love you just the way you are, Senorita Rita, our filly at the gate. Never change.